W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester. An Odyssey sports station.
803-0550. Oh, let's do it together. No, let's try again.
803-0550. 803-0550. Sounds like we're on the delicious dish.
Brad Ryder. 803-0550. Said it by myself. I'm a solo act.
Tim Graham.
Hey, Brad.
Yeah.
I want you back.
Thanks,
I want
man.
you back, baby.
All right,
Can we do it?
803.
Pull up a chair, stay for a while. You're in the sports bar on WGR. Grab a drink, hang your coat, get sports talk. Live from Western New York. It's a master show. 9 times better than your typical host. 9 times. Gene and Tim have things much hotter than most. No one cares when you're out. Sabres, Bills, Americans, Red Wings, and Nighthawks. Sports bar for Rochester Sports Talk.
1 hour and 59 minutes of sports talk excellence here in the Flower City. You found us. If you know, you know. Sun is out from the High Falls Studios in downtown Rochester. My name is Gene Pizzaglia. Thank you for joining us here today. Yes, the computer still thinks we're off on a Friday. That's not the case. We are back at it, and no more Fridays off. No, summer isn't over, but camp is here in Rochester. No camp this morning, so nothing really burning in terms of Bills news today. But we had to the weekend. I'm glad you made us a part of your day. My name is Gene Battaglia. The phone number here is 585-866-4326. It's probably brought to you by the folks at Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester, goodsmokebbq.com. I was talking to Brian this morning over at Good Smoke, and they're planning a barbecue fest right in ER in September. And it times out perfectly because the Bills play on a Thursday night, and they're going to have the live music and the barbecue on Saturday and Sunday. So that is something we'll tell you more about. But, hey, great show, unique show we have lined up for you today. It's coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. You've heard him from years, first on the now-defunct BetQL network, but now on BetMGM tonight and other platforms, including Game Day Garage. It's the great PJ Glasser joining us in studio. PJ is here. I'll get back to PJ in a second because I think it's kind of interesting how last night kind of unfolded. Jim Riley from Ballcap Sports will join us bottom this hour. As, yes, you're tuning into this show. Rochester is way more a baseball town than Buffalo, right? We're not Buffalo Junior. We have our identity here in Rochester, and I'm going to fight to the death to keep it here for our community. And we love baseball. There is a big trade deadline coming up. Scuba Watch has begun. Can your team land this ace? What else may happen? What happens with the Mets? What happens with the Jays? I think we know who's selling here, but who should buy? How does the labor situation all impact everything? Like, are we expecting all these fireworks for trade deadline and then we end up with squadouche because nobody knows exactly the lay of the land next year? Or is that the opposite, that we get more action than ever because teams really think, hey, we got to shed payroll here? Jim Riley from Ballcap Sports will be joining us here at the bottom of the hour. Again, you could join us anytime, 866-4326. We are on X at WGR Rochester, 95.7 FM, AM 950, streaming for free inside the Odyssey app. The table is set for you. As last night, I was very happy to get off the air and had left the door open for PJ Glasser, who's joining us in studio. Now, why is PJ in Rochester? PJ's in Rochester because his younger brother is in Rochester. His younger brother goes to Ithaca College. I think it's still Ithaca, not university. I know Naz bumped up to university and Fisher bumped up. We'll just say Ithaca. Goes to Ithaca, right? And he got a summer internship for the Rochester Red Wings, that internship wrapping up. So he, for a few weeks, is moving back to Baltimore. And PJ and his mom flew up last night. His dad is driving up. So the four of them are going to move out Nathan from his apartment, and back they go to Baltimore. And PJ's going with his mom tonight to the Red Wing game. But they flew in, they got in, and that is there are some direct flights, and that's a nice one to take, Baltimore to Rochester, right? So he flies in one way, and I got the text like, hey, I'm in. They left open the, hey, you want to go out for a beer? Sure. So he said, yeah. Now, first thing was I threw this out to you, and you're like, well, I've got softball. If you're new to the show, our producer's Tim Schneider, and I'm not an old man. I'm going to keep going at it, but I'm kind of past the stage of life where I play softball. You are at the stage of life where how many nights a week is it?
4.
4. Oh.
I wish it was 2, but it's 4.
All right. Don't wish it was 2 because it'll be 0 before you know it, buddy. Take it from me. But no, you weren't sure because of the field playing conditions. If everybody remembered, yeah, last night was beautiful, but it was rainy in the morning. You ended up playing.
We did.
You ended up meeting us out. But I pick up PJ, and he's staying in College Town, right? And I'm like, PJ, what do you want to do? And he's like, I can't do a PJ. Like, it would be doing him a disservice. I want to go see Bill's training camp, and I want to see Oak Hill. I'm like, ooh, I think we can do that. Now, you can see maybe where I'm going with this story because, yeah, it's after hours. And, well, before we do that, let me just say, because in our town, I believe that there are people with responsibility over the years that bash our own town. Stop. I took somebody from out of town, from College Town, down South Ave. And you go down South Ave, and there are people on the street. The restaurant, it's 7 o'clock at night, tree-lined. You get to the Center City sign. That looks really nice. I'm like, PJ, let me just drive you past the ballpark. We go down Plymouth, and you can kind of peek through just a little bit, and you can see there's a good crowd for a Thursday night. Now, PJ, why isn't he right now? He is at Red. Now, normally I'm like, hey, you don't sponsor the show. I ain't mentioning you. But Red's at a different level, right? It's almost like, oh, the ice cream in Pittsburgh. I'm like, oh, my gosh, stop, Buffalo writer, Buffalo TV person. Yep, you had ice cream. There are other good ice cream places in town, but that's the one by the vicinity that everybody raves about. But in terms of Red, I didn't know this. I'm like, PJ, how did you find Red? Apparently there was some famous chef who, like, on a TikTok that got 1 million views said, what's your favorite restaurant? He's like, it might sound strange, but it's this place in Rochester, New York. So that's how PJ found this, and he got the reservation. And I knew where it was, but I'm just like, let me just kind of drive past. Well, drive past that area, Union to Charlotte, Winthrop, and then I'm driving down East Ave. East Avenue, full of people. You could see the bars. Again, it's 7:30 on a beautiful summer night. So you're taking somebody from out of town. You don't have to be bad. And the one place we couldn't go to, but we could see people on the bridge. I'm like, yeah, that's the bridge with the waterfall. And now, look, the waterfall might be a little dirty, but like, hey, we didn't get over there. Maybe PJ can go see that afterward. But I just wanted to point out that our town, to outsiders, prints well. It did last night. So kind of like on a much smaller scale when Josh Allen said, hey, knock it off with the jerseys. I'm saying knock it off with the Rochester bashing here. Like, don't do that. To the people that, post the videos and, parts of town, whatever. I highlight the good stuff. That's what I like to do here in the sports bar. So, point is, we get over, and I'm wondering, is there actually a walkthrough last night? Because that's also part of it. What you don't know is that with the CBA, 2 days gone, but there were times when McDermott would schedule a walkthrough, and the walkthrough would be closed to the media. In fact, it's not even mentioned anything. It's not even really a practice, but you see the players on the field. So as we're driving over, I'm like, I'm wondering if we can just kind of sneakily watch a walkthrough. The point was that we could not. And with the walkthrough, the Bills security, they take it so seriously. They would have kicked us out anyways. They really, in the days when we were doing the show live at camp, we were like, hey, we're on the air till 6 o'clock. No, you're not. You're wrapping up. I'm like, no, we can do the show. And the compromise was, don't look at practice. Don't say anything. Pretend like you don't see it. And again, it's not even practice. The way I kind of describe it is, It's here are the plays and the formations. Learn your dance steps. And the plays, it's like you're walking them in slow motion. That's all it is.
Ballet practice almost.
That's it. Like the players have their jerseys on. They have shorts. They're not wearing helmets. So it really is just trying to develop that muscle memory. Here's the plays we talked about earlier today, and now let's go walk them through. Like, okay, it sounds like basic stuff. And I would imagine if you're a veteran that is going through, year number 3 of the Joe Brady offense, like, oh, okay, yep, I know this play. I know that play. It's for the guys fighting for jobs. Your head is spinning. You don't want to misstep. Think about making a wrong cut on the field in a preseason game. This is important to those guys that are trying to earn a job. So that didn't happen last night. So we were able to drive just a little bit on the Fisher campus, but I didn't push it because I didn't want somebody coming up and saying it. Now, the fun part was Oak Hill. Now, I hadn't been actually to Oak Hill since the PGA Championship in 2023. Not a member, don't know members, and, shame on me. Here I am. I don't golf. I've tried. I'm not very good at it, and certainly if somebody invited me to Oak Hill, I'd probably be wasting their time. But I do know this, and PJ was impressed by this. He's like, you're kidding me. We're driving through this neighborhood. I'm like, yep, just wait. And then you come up on it, and it presents differently when you don't see the fencing. You don't see everything. You just see this green open area. You see people on the course. So, number one, Oak Hill doesn't put up, a big neon sign that says no trespassing, but it's right there. They don't want you jogging through there. They don't want you driving through. It's not meant to be a tourist attraction. So, honestly, I didn't know the way that it worked. Would they have somebody at the front gate? And the answer, and somebody's going to say, Gene, don't say this, was no. No, we actually kind of just drove very slowly, and I'm driving like I belong there. It's not like you pretend like if you're, doing something you shouldn't. Like, we're fine. Yeah, we're just kind of driving, and we drove down to the clubhouse, and that's where I kind of ended it right there because I'm thinking, okay, do we get out of the car? Do we walk around? Do we do any of that? And I wasn't about ready to do that. What I am looking at is, I'm trying to see, and maybe this is like the part where they don't want you to know who's on the course. Is Allen out there? Is Bean out there? And I'm thinking, no, probably if they were going to do that, that's late afternoon. It's not 7 o'clock at night in the twilight. And I was impressed. There were still a lot of people golfing. I was also impressed by this, too, because we get to the parking lot at Oak Hill. A lot of cars there. I'm like, what is this? And then we're driving out. And I'm like, look at that, PJ. There's a wedding. A wedding in the middle of the course. And the wedding is at this little, it's not the clubhouse. If you're familiar with Oak Hill, I had never even noticed this because, hey, I'm only going during, major tournaments. It's this other chalet, this other permanent structure, and everybody's been carted out there. It's not, nobody's going to, be hitting the head, somebody yelling 4. You're not, no danger of that. But you could clearly tell this is a wedding. The way it was kind of set up as an aisle, the way the lighting was, some twilight wedding. It was kind of cool. But no, we didn't get stopped by security at Oak Hill, and we didn't push it either. So PJ, that was he's like, I want to see Bill's camp. I want to see Oak Hill. And I want to go to this fancy schmancy restaurant. So PJ is going to be stopping by at about 2 o'clock today here in the sports bar. We're in camp, and the thing I want to caution everybody, because if you just go over camp history, and we're just doing comps, and we talked to Mike Catalana, and he's been doing this since 1988. I have not been doing that long, but you don't have to go back very far, because there's a lot of hype surrounding Caleb Elam's Orr. And I guess this is going to be the time now where we're just going to, are we going to call him KEO? We're calling the rookie corner IGB. Like, are we just going to shorten it up that way? We're way, way away from just declaring, hey, is he going to actually be a meaningful member of this defense, or is he going to be a special teamer? It looks like he's the camp darling right now. He's getting a lot of reps. Terrell Bernard, they're still making sure that ankle is healthy. That's what this is. That actually carries back to January, if you can believe that. And Dorian Williams actually had some sort of leg issue during the spring practices. Who knew? And they're bringing him along slowly. go back 3 years when Edmonds leaves Buffalo. That was a huge storyline. My gosh, there's nobody here to be middle linebacker. Who's going to be middle linebacker? And it's one day, actually back-to-back days, where the middle linebacker had great practices. I kid you not, Balin Spector. And at that point, Balin Spector was the guy. Balin Spector was going to be the middle linebacker. And he ended up making the team, ended up getting hurt as well. But we all kind of glossed over Terrell Bernard. Terrell Bernard was actually the guy, and he was just, he was dealing with whatever at the time. So 3 years ago, we glossed over Terrell Bernard. I'm going to tell you right again, don't gloss over Terrell Bernard. It's not that I'm down on Caleb Elam's-Orr. I'm saying that Bernard, if they're managing the reps slowly, and I heard Ryan Talbot last night on BetMGM tonight talking about how this camp, what are the differences, right? That's going to be a basic question. That's something we asked to Sal Capaccio yesterday, and Pat Boyle asked Ryan Talbot this question. What are the differences between Sean McDermott's camp and Joe Brady? And the one thing Talbot pointed out was the load management. Terrell Bernard doesn't need to be, even though it's a new defense, does not need to be out there. You need to be healthy when it matters. So I'm here to tell you, don't sell TB short. Made that mistake 3 years ago thinking Balin Spector would be the guy. Now, maybe Caleb Elam's-Orr ends up supplanting Dorian Williams. Okay, let's see it. And the thing that we got to wrap our mind around is, who's going to be the guy that's covering the tight ends, blah, blah, blah. It's a different alignment now. Like, these guys are going to be on the inside. The way it's supposed to work is, all right, run game is going to be funneled to these two linebackers. And then you could have a Michael Hoyt at defensive end. Is he blitzing? Is he covering the tight end? It's a fascinating kind of look, right? Where are guys coming from? The defense is far and away, to me, the most interesting thing, how this is all going to come together. And I'm thinking how it's all going to come together. Well, I want to thank really one of the true greats in Rochester radio history, Terry Clifford. So she has now a podcast that you can hear inside the Odyssey app. It's called Studio Diaries. And I got the invite to go on her podcast to talk Bills football. Now, we're not talking Bills football with Terry like we're talking here, right? But, topics that came up, Josh Allen and the uniforms, Josh Allen this. And I'm driving over there, and you're just trying to anticipate what questions are going to come. And I'm like, oh, no. I know what question's going to come, and I haven't addressed this on my show yet. So I have to address this on my show. The question, sure enough, came. Tim, do you want to take a guess what question came?
I do not know.
Oh, come on. It's an easy one.
I don't know.
Are the Bills going to the Super Bowl?
Oh.
It's and the answer is, I'm thinking about this. If not now, when?
I'm with you there.
Folks, they're the betting favorite. They are the betting favorite. In when they opened up, and this was after the 13-second game, the Bills were coming back, and they were hungry, and everybody was Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. I think emotionally we're all hedging against this. We don't want to say it out loud. What I'm telling you is it's okay to have that expectation. But if you have that expectation, here's the thing. You got to enjoy the ride. You got to try to enjoy the ride, because there's going to be setbacks and bumps along the way and injuries you didn't see and get head-scratching moves. But you should be able to pile enough wins. You can't convince me that the Patriots are better than the Bills. I'm sorry. Right now, the AFC West seems pretty divided. What I'm telling you is, if the Patriots could be the number 2 seed last year, why can't the Buffalo Bills be the number 1 seed? Well, for starters on that, it's a tough schedule. Houston on the road. Chargers are going to be frisky. Lions in between. Patriots. Have the expectation that you win the division. Have the expectation that you actually get to the big dance. Now, I thought this through. And I said, yeah, I said on Terry's podcast, hey, get to the Super Bowl. She didn't ask me who was going to be on the other side, but somehow that twisted into win Super Bowl.
Sure.
Which, yeah, and look, Aaron Donald's not back with the Rams yet. Aaron Donald's not a fool. He's not going to be there now. He's not going to be there next week. He'll show up Labor Day week. Are you kidding me? It'll happen, and people will be very high. But just like anything else, things change in this league. As long as you have Josh Allen, as long as you have that offensive line and James Cook, and the DJ Moore debate. We'll play a sound throughout today from DJ Moore, but I'll give you one here. Here's DJ Moore talking about this just being, he's excited. It's a new environment for him.
It's definitely a new start, a new team. Being here in Buffalo is definitely like a new start, especially with Josh and all the guys that have been here the longest. And I'm the new guy coming in, so I got to catch up. But I think I'm doing pretty good at doing that, and we're hitting the ground running.
Yeah, he's the best receiver since Diggs. I'm not putting him on the Diggs level, but can he complement the other pieces here accordingly? Early returns on DJ Moore, like, okay, yeah. He, like you said, Tim, he looks a little different.
Super impressive. Two-day sample size, but super impressive.
Yeah. We'll talk some more football next hour when PJ Glasser comes into the studio, and we'll talk AFC odds there. Yeah, the Bills betting favorite in the AFC, plus 510. Who's right behind him? Oh, PJ's Baltimore Ravens at plus 525. We will have time for your calls as well. Tim's terrible take of the day. My name is Gene Battaglia. This is WGR Rochester.
WGR Rochester Sports Update.
DJ Moore is the new number 1 receiver. Moore putting in the extra work with number 17.
I want to say they're on the ups. The first 2 days have been really good, so we just got to keep building on that. And just the communication-wise and just getting out here early and just going back and forth like we are today. Constant communication on the field, and we just going to keep building, go from there.
Now, the team not practicing today. Next practice for the Bills, 8:30 tomorrow morning. Camp will break 1 week from today. The Rochester Red Wings, they split a doubleheader with Syracuse last night. Same two teams tonight at Innovative Field. Major League schedule tonight. Well, there is one game that's not tonight. It's coming up at 2:20. Interesting one with the Yankees playing at Wrigley. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com, where today get 2 rounds for the price of 1 to Eaglevale Golf Club. Jeep Taglin, the sports leader. 95.7 FM, AM 950, WGR Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the sports bar with Gene Battaglia on the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester.
Yeah, if you go, this is why we love sports, right? Like, nobody would have said back in March, season started, who's going to be the 2 biggest sellers of the trade deadline? That would be the team with the second highest payroll in the majors, in the Mets. And a team that just was literally, an inch, 2 inches from a championship at the Toronto Blue Jays. But here we are as the trade deadline coming up Monday. And I'm hoping we get a lot of action this weekend, but with the labor situation next year, I don't know. Welcoming in somebody that covers baseball. And let's start here. You're also a Jays fan, Jim Riley. What the heck happened to your team? What is wrong with Vladdy? Jim, thanks for your time today. How are you?
I am doing well. I would be doing better if my team was looking like a buyer at the deadline, but that's not going to be the case, which does set up a few interesting paths to go down. But this year was just kind of what you want to call it, a World Series hangover. You want to call it too many injuries to overcome. You want to call it a couple of key components from that clubhouse. Both gone. One went to Philly. You see how he's doing running that Philly team. The other one went to the Mets. And I don't know, Vladdy and Bo, they were boys. You take one of them out of the equation, maybe it throws them both off because they're both having down years. You could find a lot of different reasons to really point to the fall for the Toronto Blue Jays. But it's been a rough year. And now we'll try to make the best of it with some trades and some prospects.
Gossman, Springer, who should they shop? They're not shopping Vladdy because of the contract. Please don't tell me they're going to move Ernie Clement either. Who would you expect? Oh, no, we're not going to entertain any offers on this guy.
Ernie is safe. The only player it appears that they will be dealing with multiple years of control is Jeff Hoffman, and I think there are a lot of Jeff Hoffman defenders out there, but I think there's more Jays fans that are eager to see Jeff Hoffman go. I am the latter. I am eager to see him go. He's the only one with multiple years of control. So Vladdy, Ernie, Okamoto, Cease, Savage, Varland, even though Varland has been brought up in rumors, they're not going anywhere. That Vladdy contract, those dollars, that gives you an idea as to the Blue Jays' perceived window to contend and compete. So next year is going to be all about reloading and trying to go for it again, and they will continue to do that as long as Vladdy is under contract with the Blue Jays. So just the rental guys, Gausman, Shane Bieber, you've got Springer, you've got Varsho. Those are the key pieces that could get moved at this deadline. And it was brought up yesterday by John Morosi, and I think many of us could see it coming from a mile away that the Phillies may be a team that come calling for the Toronto Blue Jays players because they have several needs, and the Blue Jays check many of those boxes for the Philadelphia Phillies. You could see George Springer in a Phillies uniform potentially, maybe Dalton Varsho in a Phillies uniform. So there's a lot going on there.
I'm going to hit the pause button on all the trade rumors and speculation, who might be buying and selling, because you said one phrase in there that I'm just wondering where this is going. Next year. We don't know, right? We know there is this storm on the horizon when it comes to the next labor agreement, but how much of a tell will this be this weekend? I'm just wondering if we see some teams really cutting payroll, or does it work the other way, where everybody there isn't going to be much movement here, not knowing, all right, what kind of guidelines are we actually working under in 2027 and 2028 and beyond that? So Jim, what direction could you perhaps see this kind of going here, this trade deadline, in conjunction with the uncertainty of next year?
I still believe we will see a very active trade deadline, just as active as we have in years past. The only component that is a sort of wrinkle in that are those players with the 2027 additional year of control. Somebody like a Joe Ryan, who the Twins are saying they're not going to trade, but those players that typically would see a boosted value and therefore a boosted return for having this stretch run as well as next season. There may be some teams that don't place as high a value on that and therefore don't put forth the package of prospects, and therefore a player doesn't get dealt. Sandy Alcantara is another one, and Miami's saying they're not going to trade him. The offers may not be there. They may not be there for Sandy. They may not be there for Joe Ryan, because that value of having 2027 does not hold weight universally across all of the owners. It may with some, but those are probably owners that are going to try to take advantage of a market that may not be as robust. But for the most part, I think we will still see a very active deadline. All of the rental players, there'll be no hesitation there. As far as teams selling off, trying to get payroll down, we're not really hearing that or seeing too many indications of that, because the teams that are selling are the teams that are just, they're done. They're toast. And we're not seeing any weird examples of a team that is just trying to do a salary dump. So I believe we will still see a very active deadline. Just those 1 year of additional control players may have a different market than usual, and therefore may end up being held.
Jim, I think the Phillies are interesting for a few reasons, right? You mentioned, all right, could you see Springer in Philly gear? I don't know if they stop there. Like, to me, it would just be natural. It would be welcome, and I'm a Met fan, right? But if Mike Trout ended up with Philadelphia, what that would do for that city and that team, is that actually going to be considered as if Trout would just want to just be with one team his whole career? That's part one of this. And if we're sticking with the Phillies, too, what did you make of Bryce Harper just being vocal, and then Don Mattingly's response to that seemed like I didn't think there was any problem with any of that, but it seems like there was a lot of chatter in Philadelphia this week.
Yes, there was. And to circle back on the Trout part, your first part there, all indications are, and we're still hearing that Mike Trout doesn't want to be traded, and that is a key component because he has a full no trade. So even if the Angels wanted to, which it also appears they don't want to, they wouldn't take advantage of it either way. He's not going anywhere, even though Philly would be the perfect destination. There is a trade that is perfect. Aaron Nola to the Angels for Mike Trout, and maybe the Phillies throw in a Justin Crawford or somebody like that. But the money that Nola's being paid, the money that Trout is being paid, there's a gap, but it's not a crazy gap, and their contracts run congruent. They end at the same time, and the Angels need pitching. So there's a perfect trade out there between the two, but Mike Trout doesn't want to go anywhere, so we can just push the stop button on that. As far as the Harper and Mattingly and all that goes, this is Bryce Harper. This is a reminder of this is Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper speaks his mind. But we go all the way back to D.C. and the whole clown question bro thing. Like, Bryce Harper has always been one to just, if it's in his mind, he's going to say it. That's just who he is. So it's a reminder of that because he's gotten a little older. He's a veteran in the league now. He's seasoned, but he's still Bryce Harper. And Don Mattingly, I don't know. I mean, the way Don Mattingly handled that, maybe this is why Don Mattingly is not he doesn't get manager gigs. Like, he got this because it fell in his lap. And other teams consistently bypassed Don Mattingly for head manager openings, and maybe it's because his relationships with players can get a little rocky, and you need to be able to manage and maintain a good relationship with these superstar players and super ego, just mentalities and personalities that come with the talent.
Yeah, and for folks, Mattingly said, when Harper said, hey, we need to go, get some guys, Mattingly saying what you're saying is we don't like our players that are here. I'm like, no, like that's an inference. I don't think you needed to kind of go down. You don't need to go down that road if you're Don Mattingly.
Mm-mm. Yeah. No, you can leave that one alone. That is leave it alone. That doesn't even deserve. It really doesn't even deserve a comment.
No, just like go talk to Bryce. Yeah, he wants to win. He's he's like all of us here. That was
that's it.
Yeah, that was not very managerial. 585-866-4326 our number. We're talking to our friend Jim Riley, Ballcap Sports here. As Jim, I'm going to give you a bunch of teams. You tell me if they should be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline. Seems weird I'm asking you a question like if I tell you this team's below 500, but what do you make of the Seattle Mariners here at the deadline?
They're on a terrible stretch right now. I think they have lost 7 of their last 10, which is terrible timing for that. But here's the thing. In the American League West, your record doesn't matter. Right. It's just how far out are you in the division. And in the division, even though they're 4 games below 500, they're only 2.5 games back in the division. So for that reason, they'll most likely be buyers at the trade deadline. A hot week could put them in first place. They are, none of those West teams, even though they're close, I don't think any of the West teams will end up grabbing a wild card spot. It'll be the division or bust, and that's what matters. 2.5 back in the division. Seattle will be a buyer.
One team that is 500 that we would never ever consider as a buyer. But what do you make of Pittsburgh here? Can they do something for their fans here, or is it just a nothing trade deadline?
I would like to see them be a buyer because these Paul Skeens years, there's not a long runway. And you're in a position right now. Now, granted, it's the National League. It's different. If you're at 500 in the American League, you are right on the doorstep of a wild card spot. In the National League, if you are right at 500, you're a little bit further back. So it's not the same as the AL, but it's still you're right there. You're one hot week away from working your way back into a conversation. And right now, the NL wild card, the Cubs have a wild card spot, the Diamondbacks have a wild card spot, and the Phillies have a wild card spot. The Phillies have been struggling lately, and I don't know why, but the Diamondbacks have done it the last couple of years, but since their World Series appearance. I could see the Diamondbacks hitting a struggle stretch, and that opens up another wild card spot. So if you're Pittsburgh, you have to buy. You have to go for it. These Paul Skeens years, they're not going to be long. This is a year where you could grab a wild card spot. I think they owe it to the fans. They have a wealth of pitching that they could deal from and improve. They could take some of their young prospects. They need to improve their bullpen. There's going to be a lot of bullpen options. They could easily bolster the bullpen with a couple of really good pieces and give up some prospects and put themselves in a position to grab one of those wild card spots. They should buy. I hope they buy. They really need to for their fans and for these Paul Skeens years.
Yeah, we're talking to our buddy Jim Riley, Ballcap Sports. Another team that I don't know whether they're coming or going. And they're the first team out right now in the wild card in the National League. A team with a new owner and a team with a high payroll, and that's where it makes it interesting because I'm reading, hey, the Padres are going to move Mason Miller. I'm thinking, well, shouldn't it be the other way around? Then again, I don't know. What do you make of the Padres situation?
I think they'll buy. They have too much invested in this season. So, and they do have some good prospects that they could deal. A couple of good young pitchers, plus the catcher, Ethan Salas. So they have some good prospects that they could deal. They do need a couple of pieces. They need 1, maybe 2 rotation pieces. They could use another bat. The bullpen's in good shape, so they don't necessarily have to focus there. They could if they wanted to really take the bullpen up a notch. But the bullpen could be left alone, and they could just focus on rotation and grabbing another bat. they should buy because of how much they have invested in this year. And it's A.J. Preller. A.J. Preller's, I feel like, gut instinct is to buy. So they're close. They got hot here over the last week or so. After falling a few games below 500, they're now back above 500, which is all A.J. Preller needs to justify a buying mode at the deadline.
Well, and there is a team that we know is a seller, but your question on to what degree. We open with the Jays. Here we are to the New York Mets, and they sent a lefty reliever, A.J. Minter, to the Twins last night. Okay, sure. Are they going to make moves like that, or are we really getting crazy with this team? Are we blowing this up? Anyone not named Juan Soto? Look at that, Tim. I just almost called him non-Soto. That's very appropriate because he's not on the team right now. What are your thoughts here on the Mets? Could we actually see Lindor and others get moved for Monday?
I think it'll be a full fire sale for the New York Mets. It's just the young players who we've seen come up and make their debut this year, plus the young pitchers and Soto. Those are the ones that are safe. A Lindor trade, I do believe one is in our future, just not at the deadline because of the complication to move that kind of salary and try to get the right return back. Because he's still a superstar player. He's an elite talent. He's going to produce extremely well. So you just need to find the right trade. And in addition to that, there are teams right now that are in sell mode that in the offseason will be back in aggressive buy mode. Somebody like the Toronto Blue Jays. The Toronto Blue Jays aren't going to be trying to trade for Francisco Lindor right now, but they would probably be trying to trade for him in December. So it makes sense for the Mets to hold Lindor, but outside of him, Soto, and again, the young pitchers and the young position players who've debuted this year, they're all available. Peralta, Holmes, Weaver, Raley. I can see Francisco Alvarez being moved as well. If they can find somebody to take if they can find a way to get a Sean Manaea deal done, I think they would do that. I think it is a wide swath of players that could get traded by Stearns and the Mets.
Jim Riley, our guest here, and when I turn on sports, Jim, I want to be entertained. I don't like real world creeping into my sports talk and talking about money and contracts and profit margin and all that. What do you think of this campaign that if I'm on social, I'm assuming your algorithm's like mine where, oh yeah, whatever they call it there, save the game or whatever. And then when I'm watching MLB Network, hey, here's our propaganda on our side. Jim, my take is if I'm the Players Association, I'm like, you know what? You want to negotiate in good faith? Let's start here. Don't do that. Or we don't have to have our players on our own network because to me, that almost we're not stupid as fans here, Jim.
I don't like it either. It is taking the whole negotiation in the public space and trying to garner favoritism by the fans to a whole new level. And I don't really like it. And I got to think the majority of the fans don't like it because that message is almost geared to try to inform an audience, but the audience already knows what's going on. So it's almost talking to us like we're stupid. Yeah. So I have absolutely no interest in it. I saw it for the first time the other day, and my jaw dropped that it would go to this level. I hope they pull it. I hope they have some market research going on, and they realize that it's having the opposite effect, and they take it out because it does. It just reminds you of the dark cloud that is looming. And it is talking to us as if we are all uninformed and don't know anything about the financials of baseball. I hope they pull it. I don't like it at all. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I just want to think about. I want to think about the Yankees playing at Wrigley. I want to think about the deadline on Monday. I don't want to think about cap. But while we're here, I mean, Jim, I've got to ask you, where does the story go? And could it be? Could we just come up with a compromise? To me, no more deferred contracts. Okay, let's reel in the Dodgers just a little bit. Can we have a salary floor? Is that something that the owners would be willing to kind of do? Is the salary cap really, really necessary for a new CBA?
I don't believe it is. I think that they're going to push hard for that salary cap, and they're going to take it all the way to the 11th hour and try to jam it in there. But in the end, they're going to have to give that up. The owners will, because it just is not going to happen. I believe that we can find a similar structure in terms of all of the financials when it comes to payrolls and things, something similar to what we had. I think we'll end up with something similar to what we have now, just with some changes and some tweaks, and maybe, like you said, an item about deferred contracts and how much you can defer, and then how much it actually hits your payroll. I'm sure they can make some changes there, but I think understanding and remembering that this is not the end-all, be-all financial constraints that they are going to work under for the next 100 years. They're going to do it for the next 4 years. So right now the game is in a good spot. It is growing. The popularity is up. More people are talking about it. National talk shows that usually talk basketball and football are talking baseball. The popularity is good, and you will ruin that. And both sides know that. So they'll do their public posturing. They'll do their negotiating out in the public space, and they'll try to garner sympathy. But at the end, once they both reach that pain point threshold, and that is when we start looking at games being lost, that is when I think the real negotiating, what we can actually live with and what we can't live without stuff, will be put on the table, and it'll actually move the needle. Maybe we'll probably start the season late, but I anticipate somebody will say, look, the popularity, the importance of the game is far vast superior to us getting the salary cap right now. We'll dig back in 4 years.
Yeah, it's funny.
I'm
the history of
the
history of this, Jim. I mean, you can go back to '94. You can go back. It hasn't happened. I don't know why. We're really going to believe this is going to happen in 2026. Jim Riley, tell everybody about Ball Cap Sports on YouTube, and I mean, it's going to be a busy, interesting weekend. What we can check out this weekend when we have a few minutes.
Oh yeah, fully invested in everything about the content is with the trade deadline right now. Talking about the news that's out there, the rumors that are out there, live streams around breaking news. On Monday, on the actual deadline day, I will be live streaming from morning until about a half hour or so after the deadline, because there's always deals that can bleed through afterwards, or at least be reported afterwards. So it's going to be a busy day Monday, busy weekend, watching and tracking all of the trades and the transactions that are coming our way. Should be a very busy weekend.
Yeah, Jim, appreciate the time. And look, your team's down and out. My team's down and out. That doesn't mean we don't love the game. So
Exactly.
Yeah. Jim, thank you for your time. Let's do this again soon.
Thanks, Gene.
Yeah, thanks. Jim Riley, Ball Cap Sports. Yeah, it's interesting with, the new format and the divisions. Yeah, you're Seattle, you're not selling. You're Houston, you're not selling. What's interesting, though, is that, hey, all those years of Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, they never, ever negotiated flex scheduling. And we have that coming up where, Houston got flexed out with the Mets. Nobody wants to watch Houston and the Mets. They put Reds and Cubs. Cubs leading their division, I suppose. The NBC. Again, with everything going on this summer, I've really only caught like 2 Sunday night games so far. One being the Yankees and the Red Sox.
I don't think I've seen one on NBC. I've seen Peacock when the NBA playoffs were on.
Yeah, that's it. So it's and I do think we need to call out ESPN when we can. That the first thing that comes up in the scroll on the scoreboard, Seattle, Atlanta, Dallas, Washington, Indiana, Portland. Your WNBA scoreboard on Ion. Stop with that. It is interesting, though, and I'd like to kind of get the thoughts. Carl Ravage called last night's game.
Yeah, I saw that too.
We were out, so I couldn't exactly hear it. It was an interesting game that James Wood. It was a tough ball to come up with, but it ends up leading to a Yastrzemski homer. The Braves go on to win. So the Nats are young and frisky. They'll get over it. But that was Ravage calling the game. I've got to hand it to anybody that wants to, in wrestling they call it, do the honors. You're dead man walking. You're going to lose your job. But you know what? Carl Ravage is a pro, and he's going to call these games. And I think it's the wrong move to let a pro like that go. certainly. But you can trust him that he's not going to go crazy and say bad things. You know, he's doing this, and he'll do it for some other network at some point.
He's going to be just fine, yeah.
585-866-4326. PJ Glasser, I don't think he's here yet, but he should be back here when we get back from the other side of the break here on WGR Rochester.
Sports Update.
DJ Moore, the new number one receiver for the Buffalo Bills. He's excited about the new environment.
It's definitely a new start, a new team. Being here in Buffalo is definitely like a new start, especially with Josh and all the guys that have been here the longest. And I'm the new guy coming in, so I got to catch up. But I think I'm doing pretty good at doing that, and we're hitting the ground running.
Team not on the field today. They're back at 8:30 tomorrow morning. Camp at Fisher breaks 1 week from today. Beautiful night for a ball game. The Wings taking on Syracuse. Those two teams split a doubleheader last night. One game in the majors this afternoon. Interesting one. That's the Yankees taking on the Cubs at 2:20 at Wrigley. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com, where today get 2 rounds for the price of 1 to Eaglevale Golf Club. For this and other great deals, log on to GetMyPerks.com. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, WGR Rochester.
WROCAM, WBEE, HD2 Rochester, and everywhere you go at WGR Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. To the home of the Sabres. Brought to you by Northtown Kia. Shop online at northtownkia.com during the Kia. WROCAM, WBEE, HD2, and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
Pull up a chair, stay for a while. You're in the sports bar on WGR. Grab a drink, hang your coat, get sports talk. Live from Western New York. It's a master show. 9 times better than your typical host. 9 times. Gene and Tim have takes much hotter than most. No one cares when you're out. Sabres, Bills, Americans, Red Wings, and Nighthawks. Sports bar for Rochester Sports Talk.
Hour number 2 from the High Fall Studios in downtown Rochester, where the sun is out. We're heading to the weekend, and I'm fired up for this hour because it's always exciting when you meet a friend, and this is all new in recent years, where you might know somebody from social media, and then you finally meet that person. You might know somebody in work from a Zoom, and you get to be friends with them, and then you finally meet them in person. The great PJ Glasser in studio with us here today. PJ, welcome to Rochester, buddy. How's it been for you so far?
Gene, loving Rochester. Great to be in the sports bar. Good to be with you guys. And nice to finally meet you face to face. It's been, over 2 years since we've been doing these hits together?
That's right.
Yeah.
So it started out where we're doing the Wednesday hits, and you're now with we hear him on the BetMGM Tonight Show and other platforms on Westwood One, and you've been just great giving us winners over the years. Your mom is also here too. If I make fun of the Baltimore accent,
yeah,
this goes back to the first one when you said Megan Rapinoe.
Yes,
yeah,
that was the first.
Yeah, that was the first. Now that you're in Rochester, you're like, boy, these people here, they speak weird here with a flat A.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I know. I've been trying to look for certain street signs with the good O that I could come into the studio with you, but we just had some lunch. I got the chicken, but I was intrigued by maybe getting the risotto. I was looking at that maybe a little bit. So I'm interested to watch the Red Wings game tonight to see if we got any good last names for any accents for any of the players.
So now PJ is not related, by the way, to Red Wing pitcher Philip Glasser.
Right.
So, but it's funny that that name, and then your brother interning for the Wings, and he hung out with us on the air last week. PJ in studio with us. If you'd like to join us, by all means, the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line is open at 585-866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester, goodsmokebbq.com. PJ, if I may tell the story of last night, because I was excited to get your text, because throwing out, all right, didn't know your plans, and I'm like, PJ, let me know if you're up for a beer, and then, yes, I'm in. I'm like, yes. So, but you and I are at different stages of life where I'm like, I don't have to ask permission to go out, but I kind of get the executive producer. For if you're new to the show, we call my wife the executive producer because, she really runs the show. So I'm like, hey, PJ's in there. She's like, go, of course. So not that she was going to say no. So I'm home. I meet you, pick you up at College Town, and right away I'm like, PJ, what do you want to do? He's like, two places you want to go check out right away: Bills Camp
Yeah.
and Oak Hill.
Yeah.
So Bills Camp, that's like a second home to us here in Rochester, like no problem. But they're right next to each other. So last night I wasn't sure if the Bills would actually be on the field. Of course, they practice in the mornings. What many people don't know is they'll be on the field at night or in the late afternoon or wherever, just doing what they call a walkthrough. And it's nothing more than okay, here are the plays you just learned about today, and now we're actually going to walk them through like it's dance class or whatever. But how serious the NFL is. We can't have anybody looking at that. Well, sure enough, there wasn't anybody around. So we could have technically got out of the car, walked around, but it just kind of showed, okay, there's the practice field. There it is.
Yep.
Not much. Let's go over to Oak Hill. Now, you go over to Oak Hill. First thing you notice right off the bat is, wait a second, we're driving through a neighborhood here.
I mean, it's crazy. Like one of the top golf courses in the country. We're driving out of St. John's Fisher University, and you make a left turn. We're driving down this main road, and I'm kind of just waiting for Oak Hill Country Club, like a sign to pop up or something like golf course. And you just make a right down a neighborhood. And I'm like, is the course around here? And then you're like, yeah, isn't that crazy? It's just right here. You make a right. We're driving through the neighborhood with all these houses. And then you kind of get towards the back of the neighborhood. And all of a sudden you start to see like the ivy and the fence pop up with the golf course. And we weren't sure, obviously, like how far we were going to be able to go. If maybe the roads would have been blocked or somebody would have been out there telling us like, you can't go in. So we're just kind of driving along, seeing how far we're going to be able to take this thing. And we get to the end until you start to see, like, you get the no trespassing sign and the Oak Hill Country Club. And, the two of us are just like, all right, let's see if we can just kind of go through. It's like, what, maybe 7:30 at night, 7:45 at night, something like that. And I was just blown away by, like, the access how much of the course you can see when you're just driving along the road. I mean, again, as your listeners know, this is a venue that's hosted major championships. And of the other courses I have been to that have hosted major championships, maybe you see it like off the side of the road or something like that, trees all around, maybe you can't even see it. But the fact that you can just kind of drive through this one, there's nobody there. You see, I would say out of the 18 holes, you probably get to see like 12 of them, 13 if I had to guess.
Yeah.
And it's just right there. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's and the thing that's kind of jarring is the last time I was actually through there was for the 2023 PGA Championship. But they have, like when they shuttle you in, the fences are up. So you see none of that.
Right.
Like all the work with the grandstands, everything. It's a completely different look when everything is kind of out of there. And looking back at last night, I think we kind of wimped out. I know we, like, as far as like, oh, no trespassing. All right, we're going to go ahead anyways. Like, I'll just kind of play dumb. And we see a lot of cars. And I'm like, wow, there are, even though it's 7:15, there are people on the course, as they should. It's one of the best golf courses in the world. We're looking to see if we see any Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
And PJ looks across and he says, oh my gosh, is that Deion Dawkins? And we're driving, we get up closer, like, no, it's not Deion Dawkins. It was just somebody that was in a golf cart, kind of going in one direction. I thought about that afterward, PJ. Should we have parked and got out of the car and actually gone to the clubhouse and played dumb? What would they have done? What would they have done?
Yeah. And they probably have like a gift shop, I would think. Again, maybe like they're asking like, do you have a tea time? Or are you like, staying, whatever it may be. But I feel like, it's some of these places, maybe there's a gift shop that you can go in. Like we went to Torrey Pines a while ago and like Pebble Beach and these kinds of places. And like you can go into the gift shops and just explore them. So I know you can do that at certain places. I don't know if you can do that.
Torrey Pines is public.
It is public. That's
and
that's
I
true.
don't know if Pebble Beach is. I do know that Tim, like you told the story, and this wasn't the 2023. This was the 2013. You tried this philosophy of let me just wander around, and then they blew the whistle.
Yeah,
on you.
pretend like I know what I'm doing until I have clearly no clue what I'm doing. I had clubhouse passes, and I used that to my full advantage and just started wandering the clubhouse into rooms that I didn't know existed. And then somebody was like, "You're not supposed to be here." And I flashed my badge, and they're like, "Nope, not in here." And I was like, "All right, how do I get out of here?" And that was a really fun experience, though.
Yeah, that was. Well, we played it safe, and then we drove by the ballpark, kind of gave you the lay of the land here. So, and you had a nice fine meal. And when PJ was like, "You wanted to be." Dude, it was an early night for us.
Yeah.
Like, not Tim's nights go to like 2, 3 a.m. I can't hang with him at that point. PJ Glasser joining us in studio. If we can start with the team of local interest here for the Buffalo Bills.
Sure.
Because I think there's kind of like everybody's holding back. The AFC betting favorite, the Buffalo Bills. But yet, is it because we've had our hearts broken so many times? Nobody here is like saying, this is the year, this is the year, this is the year. PJ, does that feel right to you that the Bills should be the favorite betting-wise for the AFC?
I think they should be. What's so interesting about the AFC this year, Gene, is I think a lot of it is like process by elimination when you're looking at the rest of the teams, right? New England made it to the Super Bowl last year. A lot of us are expecting them to regress, so maybe you throw them out. Denver was the number 1 seed last year. People think maybe they're going to regress. Cincinnati's got the offense. Do they have the defense? And do you trust Joe Burrow to stay healthy? Then you have Kansas City. Mahomes is coming back from the injury. The Chargers I like a lot in the regular season. I don't trust Herbert in the postseason. The Texans got a great defense. Do you trust Stress? So a lot of these teams, it's like maybe they have a great defense. Maybe they have a great offense. It does feel like, as it's really been the last 4 or 5 years, the Ravens and the Bills have the quarterback to do it. They have the offense to do it. They have the defense to do it at times, but it's just the question of can they? They both have new head coaches this year, but I think the fact that the Bills have shown the ability to beat everybody in the postseason but Kansas City, and with the Chiefs expected to maybe be down this year, and Mahomes having the question of what he's going to look like coming off the injury, I think it's fair to make the Bills the favorite.
Yeah, it seems like that division, the Chiefs, part of the reason for their success. So many years those other teams were down and out.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chiefs just kind of had this easy ticket to win the division. Maybe it's not so easy. I want to ask about your Ravens. Jesse Minter, what are the early returns? Because where Buffalo went in-house, you're going out-of-house. And number 2, usually you want an offensive coordinator, you want defensive coordinator. So Minter, the early returns, what does he bring into the table here?
I'm really excited. When Mike McDonald left the Ravens to go coach Seattle, as Ravens fans, we were all really upset because we felt like that was our next head coach in waiting. Like we were hoping he was the guy to take over the reins from Harbaugh. We could all kind of see it. Like when it's your team, you just kind of know, right? You know who the good players are you want to build with. You know who the good coaches are. And we knew we had one in Mike McDonald. And just like watching Chargers fans and Twitter and how they've reacted, it has a very similar feel to the way they felt about Minter leaving to how we felt when McDonald left. So I think we got a good one. He's familiar with the Ravens organization. I love the fact that he's calling the defense. I think he's going to elevate that side of the ball. And I'm excited about the offensive coordinator move that he made as well, bringing in Declan Doyle from Chicago. A lot of the reports that I've seen so far is that Lamar at camp has been under center a ton, which is, that's where I want him to be all the time, right? Because then you get Derek going, you get the play action game going. So I'm excited for Jesse Minter. It's weird that Harbaugh's not going to be on the sideline because he's been there for 18 years. But I'm excited for Jesse Minter, and I think he is the guy that I think could maybe get the Ravens over the top.
So we do have a lot of Giants fans in the area, and I'm curious how that's going to work out. And you tell me if my assessment of Harbaugh is fair or not, because yes, he has the Super Bowl ring on his resume. That goes a long, long way. But in recent years, my perception of Harbaugh was, hey, we're going to have a tough camp, and we're going to be physical, and we're going to be physical, and we're going to bring that. And there were just too many games where the team wasn't ready, or you get off to a big lead, and then what are you doing? He has that kind of exasperated look. Like had Harbaugh run its course? Had he run his course in Baltimore?
Oh, without a doubt. I wanted him gone after the Chiefs AFC Championship game. I felt like that was it. I had seen enough. Him and Lamar, they had their run together. If they couldn't do it with that team, they were never going to do it. I thought it lasted 2 years too long. Giants fans, I get their excitement because really since Coughlin, they haven't had like a proven winner. They haven't had a guy that they could kind of look at and get excited about. And because Harbaugh had all the success, he won the Super Bowl, they think they're getting one of the better coaches in the NFL. I just don't think he's really that anymore, Gene. He's good for like the locker room. Like he's a good leader of men, especially early when he's delivering a new message to a new group of people. But you have to remember, this is a guy who was a special teams coach. Like, offense isn't his specialty, defense isn't his specialty, so he's really reliant on the coaches that he hires, and he's reliant on the players that the Giants draft or they develop or they bring in from free agency. So he's kind of the guy that's out in front of everything, and all his coaches will tell you that, he's a great head coach, and again, they love using the word leader of men because that's his strongest attribute. But as a football coach, especially taking over a team that's very young with not a lot of proven players, I personally don't think it's going to work out as well as a lot of Giants fans do, but we'll see.
Well, I mean, Giant fans are excited because it's an adult as your head coach. We were familiar with Brian Dable, and he runs too hot, not very presidential-like. Joe Judge didn't seem like it seems like the Giants had this run of guys who are like, okay, you're really a head coach the way you kind of behave like that. So what you're saying there, what I'm hearing is, if I had to say right now, are the Giants a playoff team, yes or no, you would lean no.
No, I'd still put them 4 in the pecking order of the NFC East. Yeah. For me, it'd be Philly 1, Dallas 2, Washington 3, and the Giants would be 4. Because, look, we've seen Philly do it. They won a Super Bowl a couple years ago. I think Dak's going to be great this year. I think he's got a good shot at MVP. They made adjustments to that defense. I think Dallas could be a playoff team. Washington made the NFC Championship game a couple years ago. Daniels is back healthy. And then you have the Giants. I mean, Jackson Dart had flashes as a rookie, but he was hurt. He was constantly in and out of the lineup. So the Giants, there's a lot of hypotheticals. Like, I haven't seen it with them, whereas the Eagles, Cowboys, and Commanders, I've seen it with their core players. I've seen them have success. I've seen them go deep in the playoffs, win a Super Bowl in the case of Philadelphia. So, yeah, I still have the Giants 4th until they prove that they can do it.
Live with us in studio, the great PJ Glasser, BetMGM tonight. You hear him on Westwood One, Game Day Garage, and many, many platforms. There is one other team in the NFL, if we're talking about Ravens coaching connections. What about Monken and Cleveland? What are the Browns getting? Because the Browns, by trading away Myles Garrett, it looks like they're going to just hit the reset button again. Oh, here we go. Or could there be something? What are your thoughts on where Cleveland's going?
I love the Monken hire for Cleveland because he's no nonsense. He'll tell it to you like it is, and that's what the Browns need. They need an adult, right? I mean, that's one of the worst franchises in sports, and they haven't been able to get it right for a long time. I think he's the guy before the guy, but I think he's a great stopgap to kind of clean everything up, get the culture right, get the Browns heading in the right direction. Because, look, they traded away Myles Garrett, right? And they were never going to win anything with him. So the fact you get Jared Verse, who's a good NFL player, more draft capital, you're still trying to figure out your QB situation. But the Browns they got pieces. Like, they have some good players on both sides of the ball. And as we know in the NFL, you're always a quarterback away, especially if you have decent pieces around him. So I think the Monken hire was a really good one. He knows that division very well. And I think the Browns could be a good bet this year, like against the spread. Catching a lot of points. I think they could be a good cover team, be frisky in some games. But I think they're headed in the right direction, and I think they're going to like to appreciate Monken. I think he's going to be good for them.
So if we're doing the pecking order in the AFC North, where do we put Pittsburgh? Where would you put Baltimore? I'm assuming Baltimore you put first, then
Cincinnati. Yeah.
Cincinnati.
Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Cleveland would be my 4.
So this isn't the year that everything completely capsizes. Because for Pittsburgh, every Pittsburgh fan I talk to, like, you know what your team signed up for. Like, is it really going to get any better with that? Like, at what point did they decide, you know what, time to start over here with Pittsburgh?
So I've talked about this with Steelers fans, and it's such a love-hate relationship with Tomlin because you're not going to win the Super Bowl, and you're probably not going to win a playoff game, but you also know that you're not going to be 6-11. Somehow, some way, that dude's going to get you to 9-8, right? And with McCarthy, they just don't know. He's been successful as a coach. He's won a lot of games in the regular season, but with Tomlin, you could always pencil the Steelers in for 9 wins. And with McCarthy, you don't know. So they're super interesting. Rodgers, another year, you kind of know what he is at this point. That defense is aging too. Watt's another year older. Hayward's another year older. So I would be more down on Pittsburgh than I would be excited, but I still think they're the third team.
So, PJ, last hour, I told the story. I went on a podcast today, and I'm like, I know this question's going to come. The question came, is this the year the Bills go to the Super Bowl? I'm like, yep. And I hadn't even talked about this, but I'm like, you know what? Why not? If not now, when? So I guess I'm saying it right here. Like, why not? Like, when you look at the landscape of the AFC, let's just see how this all kind of plays out. Who meets them on the other end? Because everybody's saying the Rams, but the quarterback is old. It just seems too simple just to say the Rams. Who would you say are other contenders you feel good about? Because I don't know if Chicago takes a step forward. In fact, I don't know who I feel really good about in that division. The 49ers, they're only going to be around. Well, okay, well, their head coach right now has got his issues. So, again, the question, like, who else in the NFC for you?
I kind of think it's those two teams in the East. I think it's either Philly or I think it could be Dallas. I really do. I'm high on Dallas, Gene. You know, Dak's my guy. Like in the NFL, right? Everybody agrees, like in some order, Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow, Stafford, like those are kind of the five. Then you have some people that love Drake May. You have some people that love Herbert. Some love Dak. Some love Goff, whatever it may be. I've always kind of been a Dak guy, like of those group. And they were one of the best offenses last year. They're going to be one of the best this year. And again, those changes they made to the defense, I think they got the best player in the draft in Caleb Downs. Like getting him at 12, I thought was a steal. He started for Nick Saban at Alabama as a freshman. Like the other players to do that when he was there, a guy named Will Anderson, pretty good. Patrick Surtain, he was pretty good. Minka Fitzpatrick, he was pretty good. So I think Caleb Downs is going to turn out to be a pretty good player. I think it's one of those two. Like the Rams are the favorite, and rightfully so. But if you were looking for somebody outside of those, I would probably go with Philly or Dallas.
You know what we have Thursday night?
We've Hall of Fame game.
Football.
Yeah.
Football.
We do.
Like, I mean, the NFL's going to be like, what are they calling it? The Together Again weekend? Okay, yeah, everybody's practicing this week. But we got to take a break. When we come back, I want to talk college football because that is really your wheelhouse.
Sure.
Talking about this, specifically the Big Ten. Like, it's been now how many years since we've had an SEC team at the top? So does the Big Ten maintain their status? You have top programs in Indiana. Where does Michigan kind of fit in with everything going on there? What about the Ohio State? So, PJ, think about that when we come back. And also the Major League Baseball trade deadline. Like, my team is down and out. But your Orioles, should they be buyers or sellers? Think about that. We'll get to that. PJ Glasser in studio with us. This is exciting. Stick around here. This is WGR Rochester.
Sports Update.
No practice today for the Buffalo Bills, and strange to think, 1 week from today, camp will have broken. DJ Moore, the new number one receiver, Moore putting in the extra work with Josh Allen.
I want to say they're on the ups. The first 2 days have been really good, so we just got to keep building on that. And just the communication-wise and just getting out here early and just going back and forth like we are today. Constant communication on the field, and we just going to keep building, go from there.
8:30 tomorrow morning, the next practice at St. John Fisher. Beautiful night for a ball game as the Red Wings continue their series with the Syracuse Mets, the team splitting a doubleheader last night. All the action in the majors under the lights with one exception, and it's an interesting game. They're in the top of the first. Yankees no score at Wrigley. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com. Get 2 rounds for the price of 1 to Eagle Vale Golf Club. Gene Battaglia, WGR Rochester.
The best local sports talk in the Flower City. The Sports Bar with Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950 WGR. Rochester.
PJ Glasser taking in the sights and sounds of Rochester. So you went to Red. You went to the brew house too?
Did, yeah.
Now, was the waterfall dirty today? Sometimes that's not a selling point of our town.
It looked fine. Yeah, it looked fine. Nice. Beautiful weather out today, so that's fantastic. I got it, Gene. I mean, Western New York, upstate New York, like this time of the year, it's tough to beat.
It's elite here.
It's fantastic.
Until we get to not elite.
When does it
season.
start? It was like November? Like when does it start?
Well, funny you should say that because you look at the Bills' schedule, you would call it the Ravens' schedule.
Mm-hmm.
It's November the 1st. That is right, kind of. October here is exquisite, too. And you will get, like, a nice Sunday afternoon in November. Or maybe not so nice. So, are you making plans to come back up, bud?
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it.
Those prices right now are, like,
I know.
That's the thing. Yeah, I haven't been in the new stadium, but, looking to check that out in 2 weeks. As we mentioned in the update, Bill's not at Fisher today, so this is the day off they have to be given by the CBA. It goes Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then that's it. Then the blue and the red scrimmage back at Highmark Stadium, and the Bills will be rolling into the preseason. PJ Glasser is our guest. We're less than a month away also from week 0. That's crazy to think. Like North Carolina, TCU, give me those. Anything that first Saturday, I'm just salivating. PJ, we've talked, and if you missed any of PJ's previous interviews with us, everything's on demand on the Odyssey app, wherever you get your fine audio. We talked about the ACC. We talked about the SEC. It's almost like I'm leaving the Big Ten last. Are they still the class here in college football?
I mean, certainly they have the most top-heavy teams, like Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana. Those 3 teams are better than any teams in the SEC. I think when you get into the debate of like which conference is better, I think you look at the depth. I still think the SEC depth, 1 to 16, is a little bit better than the Big Ten's. Is 18 teams. But from a top-heavy standpoint, like national title contenders, Gene, I don't really think there's a team in the SEC this year that can win the national title outside of probably Texas and Georgia. Maybe Bama, maybe Ole Miss, but I would really say only Texas and Georgia, and I still don't even really love either of those 2 teams to win it. But Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon, I mean, you don't have to sway me on either of those 3. So those, I think, again, like national champion probably comes from the Big Ten again, most likely, but I still think the depth of the SEC is better than the Big Ten.
Yeah, if this were a different time of year, PJ, because we do have Syracuse right down the road. Some 3+ hours? Happy Valley. It's not that far getting down there. And you were thinking maybe you could talk your dad into driving way. That would be going way out of the way.
Yeah.
Not a straight line.
Yeah.
Where are we doing with Penn State football? James Franklin, moving on from him. If this is the NFL, that doesn't happen. Honestly, the noise around that, the fact that he couldn't win the big game, okay, he's out. Matt Campbell, are we considering Penn State a fringe national contender here?
Not a national contender, but I did bet them to make the playoff at plus 475. So I like Penn State's schedule this year. They avoid Indiana, Ohio State, and Oregon. They avoid the big 3. They do have to play Michigan, but the schedule's doable. I love getting Rocco Bex, who came over from Iowa State with Matt Campbell, and Matt Campbell getting DeAnton Lynn to be his defensive coordinator as well. I thought was a great pickup. That guy worked miracles on USC's defense after years of Alex Grinch. He turns them into a serviceable unit. So I like Penn State, Gene. The schedule, the quarterback, the coach, the defense should be good. And after all these years of Franklin and the high expectations and never delivering, now nobody's talking about Penn State.
Right.
And again, I don't think they're going to win the national championship, but that doesn't mean they can't make the playoff. And I think there's a chance that they do. So I did bet them.
Yeah, you can't lose to UCLA. that was it in a nutshell there.
Yeah.
Michigan, like, what should be the expectation? So, like, you think about and drama is probably the wrong word because there was some really bad stuff there with Sharon Moore, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Whittingham, well, he's that adult in the room. He's somebody with a great resume. That's a good get.
Yes.
A new AD on the horizon. That's going to be happening at some point. Is this just simply a transition year for Michigan, or can you raise the standard just a little bit there?
Yeah, Michigan's going to be in that 8 to 9 win range. A tricky schedule, road trip to Ohio State. They got to play Penn State. I believe they have to play one of Indiana or Oregon as well. I think they have a road trip to Eugene, actually, to take on the Ducks. And they have to play Oklahoma at home as well, which isn't going to be easy. So they have a tough schedule. It's really all going to come down to Bryce Underwood, their quarterback. When they got him going into last season, Gene, he was the number 1 recruit in the country. They outbid everybody to get him with NIL money, and he was pretty disappointing in his first year. So if Whittingham and that staff can get the most out of Underwood, and he could turn into the quarterback that Michigan fans thought he was going to be his freshman season, then, yeah, I mean, that the talent that he has, man, if you could put that all together, they could be a dangerous team. I just don't really see Michigan doing that. Like you said, Whittingham's a good coach. He's been doing it a long time. His Utah teams were always consistent and competitive. But the schedule's tough, and I think in year one, it's going to be a tough adjustment. So I'll say like 8 or 9 wins for Michigan.
So I'm going to read you a schedule here, and you're going to figure out where I'm going right away here. But North Texas, Howard, Western Kentucky, Northwestern, Indiana taking on Rutgers, Indiana, Nebraska. It's Ohio State, Michigan, Minnesota, USC, Washington, and Purdue. Again, the schedule for the Indiana, the defending champion, the Indiana Hoosiers. I look at that, I'm thinking, okay, maybe they split against Ohio State and Michigan. Still, that's a playoff team, right? Like that doesn't seem like anything I want to bet there. Like that seems almost like a shoo-in that Indiana is going to get back.
The bet I like with Indiana is their quarterback to win the Heisman, Josh Hoover, like 20-1. Mendoza won it last year. So because an Indiana QB won it last year, I think a lot of people are just going to say, well, they're not going to give it to an Indiana quarterback again. Well, Lincoln Riley had a couple of quarterbacks that won Heisman trophies back-to-back years. And again, you look at the formula to win a Heisman, double-digit wins, which Indiana should do. You put up great numbers, which Josh Hoover should do. And I just think he, at the end of the day, is going to be one of those guys in consideration. I like the price. And Hoover was one of my favorite quarterbacks, Gene, in college these last couple of years at TCU. Can make all the throws. He's a gamer. He's a good athlete. His issue is always turnovers. Well, if you're a quarterback with turnovers, I would say a good landing spot would to go be coached by Kirk Cignetti, who's going to keep all the good, but he's going to take out all the bad, just like he did with Mendoza when he came over from Cal. So I like the fit a lot. I think Hoover's going to do great things in that system, and that's how I would bet Indiana. Because you're right, like win total, make the playoff, national championship. Don't want to do any of that, but I think the Heisman's a good price.
If there's one team in college football that is a sleeping giant, is that team USC? Or is this, hey, Lincoln Riley, this is the year we got to do something? What do we make of the Trojans? A lot of optimism there for USC.
I don't think it's USC because Lincoln Riley has not been able to win a road game in Big Ten play outside of the West Coast. Like, he can beat Washington and UCLA, but he can't win the game against Minnesota, or he can't beat Illinois, or he can't go to the East Coast and beat Maryland even. Like, his teams have not been able to win in the Eastern time zone or even in the Midwest. So until he proves that he can do that, let alone do that multiple times, I can never trust in USC. I think the team in that ilk, probably, Gene, like across the country, I would say would be LSU with Lane Kiffin. They're plus money to make the playoff, and he just brought in so much talent. He's proven that he can bring in a bunch of different guys and make it gel really quickly. If he can get that thing running, they got a tough schedule. But their top end talent's really good. If Levitt is healthy, their quarterback, and can play well, I kind of think that's the sleeping giant I would look at.
Like LSU went from one jerk to a bigger jerk.
Yeah.
Like, do they just want to be the villains of sports in general here, PJ?
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine anybody outside of that state pulling for the Tigers whatsoever.
Without a doubt, especially the folks in Mississippi. But if, look, LSU, they're one of those programs, they just care about winning games. And if Lane does that, he'll be beloved. But you're right. Between Brian Kelly and Lane Kiffin, hard to find a twosome more dislikable than that.
So you took a different path. If we can kind of just go off a different road here.
Mm-hmm.
You went to an SEC school. You went to Alabama. We've mentioned that before. And in fairness, like, you do not. There is no bias when it comes to your pick. You're calling it straight as it is. My question is, like, I've never been to an SEC game. What is that like when you go to a school where college football is life itself? Like, your thoughts on why did you choose Alabama? What was that experience like?
I think the two biggest things for me were the tailgating was crazy. That was the first. The second thing I would say is how people dress to go to a game, Gene.
Really?
Yeah, like suit and ties, skirts. What? Like in the Greek life and stuff. I'm going to a sporting event. I'm just going to wear like shorts and a t-shirt. I quickly realized like that was not the way that they do it in SEC country, and going to like Ravens games or NFL games, like we always tailgate in like parking lots, and maybe like somebody will bring a grill or something like that, or you go to like a bar or sports bar nearby, whatever it may be. The campus, just like the town shuts down. These people like catered food, chandeliers, they're giant TVs. They just hang out. And I know Bills Mafia, like you guys are as close as it gets to like a college fan base, so maybe it won't blow you away as much. But I would say like just the tailgating and experiencing that, and then just, seeing what people just wear to an SEC game is, I'm used to like jerseys or like sweatpants, and people are wearing like button downs or dresses or.
It's hot out. What are you doing?
It is.
So, all right. So the best game you saw in your time at Alabama was what? See if I can remember this game.
I saw some pretty good ones, Gene. I would say the best that sticks out right away was the national championship against Georgia in overtime, the 2nd and 26, Tua to Devontae Smith to win it. That was a good one. The Clemson national championship game was also a great one, where you had the Kenyon Drake kick return. There was an onside kick there as well that Bama won it. So those title games were the two best. The regular season game that was probably the best, I saw Bama at Mississippi State when Jalen Hurts was the quarterback. They were like a 17-point favorite, and he threw a touchdown to Calvin Ridley with like 15 seconds left to give him the lead, which was a great game as well. So those were the first three that came to mind.
Yeah, it's and now you took our coach there, Nate Oates, who just got married.
He did.
Congratulations to Nate Oates.
He did.
PJ, want to also get your thoughts here on baseball, and you're welcome for Pete Alonso. Are they like? What direction are the Orioles going here? Are they buying? They selling? What are they doing here?
That's the $1 million question. I think they're going to do a little bit of both. They're 2.5 games back right now, the final wild card spot. I think if you look at like where they are on a sheet of paper, it would tell you that they still have a chance. But if you just watch the team, they would tell you they don't have a chance. So I think they're going to sell and they're going to buy. I think there's a chance that Adley Rutschman could be moved because they signed Basayo. He's waiting in the wings. Adley's kind of had an up and down career with the Orioles. He's been injured this year, and I think they could get some good pitching prospects if they traded him, so he could be on the move. And then I think they could bring in some other guys that could help them, years of control down the road. So I don't think they're going to be like complete sellers and just, blow it up, but I don't think they're going to be all in as well. I think probably a little of both.
So there are Oriole fans in Rochester dating back to the years when the Wings for many, many years were affiliated with the Orioles. What happened here? You had all these young prospects, new owner, and you're thinking, okay, the combination of the two, we're back to the Oriole way, and it doesn't quite happen. I know that's kind of a loaded question, but why is this franchise kind of stuck in neutral right now?
I mean, there's so many reasons, and it's something we all talk about all the time because we're trying to figure it out. We all thought we were going to be the next Astros, like we'd be the next dynasty. They had that 100-win year. Gee, more than anything, like they just used to be so fun. They used to be such a good watch. Like they would hit homers, they would steal bases, they would show emotion. They were good guys. And now all of a sudden, it just feels like after all the expectations and all the losing, it's just sucked the life out of the team. I think a lot of it starts from like the front office and Mike Elias and the managers that he's hired, the approach that they've had from a hitting standpoint, and he's never been able to solve the pitching. You know, like he'll go all in and get Pete Alonso as a free agent to help him out hitting, but he won't go all in and sign a pitcher for like $150 million. And we've been begging him to do that for a number of years. So it's a lot of different things. But I think what's so disappointing, like Gunnar Henderson has really struggled this year. He's been really terrible. So, you know, they need their stars to play like stars, and they just haven't been doing that this year.
PJ, I didn't mean to interrupt you. If you're watching on YouTube and Twitch, maybe the cameras are picking up. This damn fly keeps buzzing. It's buzzing around your mom. It's buzzing around me. It's like, what is this fly? It's reincarnated something. It really wants to be part of the show.
It's like that
today.
Breaking Bad episode. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
When they're down in the, they're dealing with the fly.
Yeah, that's PJ, we got to take one last break. This has been a lot of fun. PJ Glasser, who you hear on BetMGM tonight, Westwood One Sports, our betting expert, in studio with us. He's in town visiting his brother. He's going to the Wings game tonight. If you'd like to join us, 585-866-4326. This is Gene Battaglia here, WGR Rochester. Yes. I mean, what foods would you not expect at a ballpark? I don't know.
Were there any like famous spots at the old Bill Stadium that people would be a fan favorite to go to eat? Like any wing spot? There would be nothing.
No, like really. Highmark didn't have any of those accoutrements. Nothing. Okay. No bars. No anything. Like this is like the NFL. So what I tell people is, like, you don't know what you don't have until you see it in other places. So RIT years ago, the hockey team here, makes the Frozen Four. I'm like, okay, we're going to cover this, and we're in Detroit. I'm like, wait, this is Ford Field? This is 2010? Like, this is what an NFL stadium looks like? Wow. Wait, and the space and the cleanliness and everything, and then you realize, oh, we're in the same league as the Lions here, and the Lions are bad at that point. But it was one of those things that it's kind of a hot button issue here, PJ, where yes, the stadium needed to be built, but it feels like if you're the kind of that blue collar Bills fan, it's like, yeah, you're not gonna you're gonna be watching on your television. Where before that felt like it was everybody out in the parking lot before. So.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it on TV, and then hopefully I get there in person to see the new one. But yeah,
there's the story today, and boy, if you see the video, it's not good. When Tony Romo gets pulled over, like, hey, you could see him trying to smooth talk his way out of this. He's asking if he can call his lawyer, and the officer says no, and then he asks again, the officer says no, and I commend all the men and women blue because you got to have patience in these situations, and this officer did the right thing. But the story is today, and whether Romo is guilty or not, who knows? But CBS is going to just kind of table this, that he is placed on leave until further notice. PJ, I just kind of read into this. And by the way, they're already saying that J.J. Watt may take some of the reps there. So you read on this. Is this kind of like the end for Tony Romo here?
Could be. Depending on what they find, what videos end up coming out from this, and if he faces any, more legal trouble, it definitely could be. But yeah, going with JJ as the number one with Jim Nantz will be interesting because, as we know, Romo, he was the golden boy when he first broke in. He was the next big thing, the next big color commentator, that Chiefs-Patriots AFC title game, and he was calling the plays before they happen. These last couple of years, though, man, he's taken a lot of flack. So I think with kind of that, and then also this story unraveling, like you said, CBS just decides, like, okay, we're going to put him on leave. We'll see how it plays out from a legal side, and we'll go from there. But yeah, J.J. Watt's going to get his opportunity, and I think if him and Nantz kind of hit it off with everybody that's watching the games, they just might continue to roll with that.
Yeah, and they've already announced that the broadcast team will be Jim Nantz, J.J. Watt, Tracy Wolfson to start. The court date being September the 21st. Oh, okay, we're talking about week 3 already. So, boy, if we had to pick, like, who's your favorite team right now?
Broadcast team?
Yeah.
Man, I like Tirico and Collinsworth. I really do. I think Tirico is one of the best. I know Collinsworth can rub some people the wrong way, but I think he's really solid. I do like Kevin Burkhardt a lot. The problem is, Gene, like, the play-by-play guys, a lot of them I love. The color commentators aren't necessarily my favorite. So I love Harlan. I love Tirico. I love Burkhardt. I think they're great. But yeah, just Sunday night, like when Mike and Chris, like, if the Ravens are playing, that's the broadcast team I enjoy listening to call their games the best.
Greg Olson, to me, is the best color guy.
He's
He's stuck in this number 2 role.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm surprised, like, the Fox is, but, I mean, is it really about I'm going to offer the audience insight, or, hey, it's Tom Brady, and you're going to look into Tom Brady's eyes, and you're going to watch a little longer? I mean, it's just about the name, right? Is that pretty much it?
He has made big improvements from that first game in Cleveland when he called the Cowboys and Browns game. But yeah, Brady's getting better. It's certainly the name, though. The 7 Super Bowls, all the money that they're paying him. Mm-hmm. And it's just the aura effect. It's like when you turn in and you watch the NHL playoffs and, like, Gretzky talks on TNT. It's just like listening to him speak. It's just like kind of where, it's Gretzky. Like, it adds a little bit more meaning. So I think it's the same with Brady.
So PJ Glasser in town, going to a Red Wing game tonight. Have you ever been to a minor league ball game?
I have. I don't. The only one that comes to mind is the Frederick Keys in Maryland. They are the single A, I think, of the Orioles. I don't know if there's another one that I've been to.
You have Bowie still down there. So,
yeah, never been to Bowie.
No.
When I was in Alabama, I never got to a Barons game, Birmingham Barons. It might only be the Keys. So, yeah, tonight might be number 2.
Yeah, and heck, the Syracuse Mets. Now, this is what I say. Even though I'm a Met fan, you go to the game tonight. If you're a Met fan, you're not cheering for Syracuse. You're cheering for the Rochester Red Wings. You cheer for the local team first. That's the rule in my book. There, Dan, I'm talking to our producer there, who cheers against our local hockey team when his favorite team comes in. PJ, you're going tonight. Trade deadline. We do also have this, that Freddie Peralta was scratched tonight from the Mets. So how deep do we go here with a team like the New York Mets when it comes to the trade deadline? You're not dealing Soto. For one, he's not healthy or not available. But is everybody else fair game, including Lindor?
I think they have to be. I don't have to tell you, Gene, as a Mets fan, it's been just a disastrous season. And they just got to trade as many pieces as they can. And clearly what they did in the offseason, the guys that they decided to let go and keep, did not work out. They made a bunch of bad decisions. Peralta is going to get moved, and I would expect some other guys to get moved as well. I think the big one, too, would be Lindor. Do they decide to move on from him? I don't think they find a trade partner, but if they get a deal good enough, I don't think outside of Soto, anybody's off the table.
Skubal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I'm Ram Manfred, I am behind the scenes pulling for Skubal to go to the Dodgers just so everybody vilifies the Dodgers even more and they could, do whatever they can to make sure there's a salary cap and we're preventing this in the future because that would be the team where like, oh, really? That would be. But where do you see right now Skubal? Who are some likely fits here?
I mean, the Dodgers are probably at the top of the. What's interesting about LA is that there are reports that have come out of Skubal. That's his preferred destination when he's a free agent. So if you're the Dodgers, it's like, do we give up all this draft capital just to acquire him for 2 months, 3 months, and then maybe he re-signs, maybe he doesn't, or do we just go after other guys, make our team better, and then maybe we take a shot with Skubal in free agency? So I mean, they're definitely at the top of the list. I think Tampa's sneaky because they have a great farm system. I'd love to see Tampa go all in, go after it. Like the American League, as we know, is wide open. And they've been probably the best team in the AL all year. So the Dodgers are the favorite, but I think Tampa would be a team I'd watch too.
See, that would crack me up. Like after all this, we need a salary cap, this propaganda. We end up with a Tampa-Milwaukee World Series.
Yes.
Which is not that crazy. PJ, enjoy your next few hours here in Rochester. So I take it you're going back, chill out here for a few hours. Ball game tonight with you and your mom, and I'm assuming your brother's working here. One last night of work here for him. PJ Glasser joining us in studio, and if you're jumping in late, 2 things you can do. One, download the Odyssey app. We're on 1 to 3 Eastern locally. And what that means is we're your 2-hour Rochester sportscast every day, 2-hour podcast, I should say. Or in bite-sized form. The Dandalorian has it up in podcast form wherever you get your fine audio. Thanks to our first-hour guest today, the great Jim Riley from Ballcap Sports, breaking down the trade deadline. We'll be back Monday, as the Bills will be back on the field Monday. Have a great weekend. Show up in the Bulldog coming your way next year on Rochester Sports Leader, WGR Rochester.